Hello, I'm Saramia and you're watching AWANI Global. Now, since late May, fierce battles have intensified in Myanmar's Rakhine state between the Myanmar military as well as the Arakan army, an ethnic armed group, displacing tens of thousands of Rohingya and killing many of them as well. Now, an estimated 45,000 Rohingya have reportedly fled to an area near the border of Bangladesh seeking protection, while over 1 million Rohingyas are already there who have fled past purges. Now, we're going to talk more about this complex situation or the civil war that is happening in Myanmar currently with our guest for today, Tun Khin, who is the president of the Burmese Rohingya Organization UK, or the BROUK. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, I've explained a little bit about, what's going on, but perhaps we'd like to get your views on the latest developments. What is going on in Rakhine State in Myanmar currently?
Latest situation is now Arakan army and Burmese Myanmar military fighting in Mount Township. We are receiving information many Rohingya were killed by Arakan army, same time also Burmese military. And both targeting Rohingya people in Maundo. What's happened is, let me brief you a bit background. Since November last year, Arakan army and Burmese Myanmar military fighting. Rohingya were trapped between those fights. And so far, Arakan army taken control of 10 townships in Rakhine state out of 17. They are almost getting another 2, Tandwi and Maundo. And what happened is, we Rohingya, I want to explain here, support revolution against Burmese military. Burmese military, Myanmar military is common enemy, because this military killed thousands of Rohingya in 2017. This is the military Min Aung leadership ordered to burn more than 390 villages. This is the military Min Aung who ordered to rape thousands of Rohingya women. So we know how brutal this Burmese is. So we are together with everyone in Burma to get rid of this military. But when Arakan army fighting, what we have seen that since May, also Rohingya were targeted. And 8,500 at least Rohingya houses were burned down by Arakan army. And 200,000 Rohingya become IDPs when Arakan army taken control of Butidong township. So what's happened is, in February, Burmese military introduced a law, conscription law. When conscription law introduced, everywhere in the country they are conscripting, they have youth, they targeting, Myanmar military targeting many youth. So in Rakhine area where Rohingya are living, and many Rohingya youth were forcefully recruited by Burmese military. And under that pretext, Arakan army targeting Rohingya. But one thing, we all have clear that Rohingya, we stand together with everyone in Burma to fight against military. But Rohingyas youth, they were forcefully recruited. If you, like IDP camps in Sitwe, they came, Burmese military came and they say, you have to provide 100 youth, young people. If you cannot provide, you will be killed or arrested. That's the way out they are doing that. And these young Rohingya were used as a human shield by Burmese military. So what happened is, after that, our message was very clear. Also, Burmese military many years divide and rule between Rohingyas and Rakhine community. So that is important that we are together with all of you fighting against military. So that is our clear. But under the pretext of about a few hundreds of the conscripted Rohingya people, they cannot target whole Rohingya community. Now 200,000 Rohingya become IDPs. They are facing really dire situation. Not enough food, and only 4 villages they were located. On top of that, at least 2,000 Rohingya were killed by Arakan army. Because why I'm telling about Arakan army, because that is under control of Arakan army now, Butidon Township. No more military. And their arresting, disappearance are going on. And they are telling Rohingya, you cannot, the Rohingyas are not allowed to talk on the phone, especially outside of the Arakan state.
So this is the rule of the military, or?
It's Arakan army.
Arakan army.
So that is what this, who is fighting with Burmese military, Arakan army, under that Rohingyas are facing that. We worry that that consequence will be very bad. Many people may flee from Arakan state because people are facing impossible situation to live. This is, we are facing a kind of existential threat in our homeland. That is what Rohingyas are facing now. So that's why I want to quote here, when I was UN Human Rights Council last month, UN High Commissioner, he was mentioned that neither Burmese military nor Arakan army will protect Rohingya people. So my point is, this is important. International community have to protect Rohingya. By how ASEAN, Malaysia will come in a shared country next year. So Malaysia have to come up with some important steps.
Right. Before we get more into, you know, how we can further protect the Rohingya community, not just, you know, when we're talking about the ones in Malaysia, in our country, but also in Rakhine State or in Myanmar, and ways to, you know, move forward and to find a solution to this conflict. Let's just take a step back a little bit and understand now the situation has been quite messy in Myanmar, as we understand, since especially since the February 2021 coup. We have seen many intense battles between the Myanmar junta and also the ethnic minority groups, or better known as the Arakan army. So the latest that I have also received is that the Alliance of an Ethnic Minority has agreed to a 4-day truce last week with the junta in the northern Shan state. Now, what does this actually aim to achieve? And does it have any connection to what's going on in Rakhine?
I don't think that is connected to Rakhine state. There is, if you look at as a whole Burma, fightings are going on. Arakan army is the strongest army, revolution group. There is, they are one of the members of Northern Alliance, where MNDAA, TNLA, Arakan Army, they are major. And other side we have KIA, KNU, CNF, and others, also PDF. So there are so many fighting groups carrying on in Rakhine State, in Burma, but TNLA, MNDAA, they are very strong. Arakan Army, they are very strong. And also KIA, we can see they are also seizing up many military camps. That is really encouraging. As a Rohingya, as a human rights activist, as I fight to get rid of this military, we all are together with them. We support this revolution. This is very important. Because one thing we can see that more than 60% of territory control are under revolutionary group. So military is losing day by day. So that's why we can see now the economic is really getting worse, and many youth were targeted on conscription. And this is the time when the people of Burma fighting to get this military to get rid of. We need international community support, like ASEAN support, because the willing of the people in Burma, the people have suffered for so long under this Burmese military. Also Rohingya people, we facing genocide many decades. So in this in this time, this is very timely that international community like ASEAN, Malaysia, Indonesia, other countries have to come forward to support the revolution, not to recognize this Burmese military.
Now you mentioned, about international support, and that is very crucial currently for the dire situation. And Malaysia is actually, going to be chair of ASEAN in 2025. So how do you see the role of ASEAN when it comes to, mitigating the conflict currently, and how can we actually further support, as you mentioned, the Rohingya community?
One thing is, as a whole Burma context, we have seen after 2021 coup, there is 5 points plan. That 5 points plan already 3 years. It's not worked. It doesn't work. Military did not listen. Military is not listening until now. Instead, Burmese military is committing genocide against Rohingya, war crimes and crimes against humanity against other ethnic groups of Burma. Kashin, Shin, Karen, Sagain division, Magui division, where our brothers and sisters of Burma are every day killed by Burmese military. The situation is getting worse. So how long ASEAN will wait to implement that 5 points plan? There is no, this is already gone so long. So I would say very strongly, Malaysia is the country who brought them to ASEAN in 1997. So Malaysia have to lead, to suspend, to kick out from ASEAN if they are not together with the family of ASEAN members, because it's become a regional issue. Now you can see many people from Burma get out of country and they take in shelter in Thailand, Malaysia, and other countries. It's become a regional issue. Actually, when you look at Rohingya issue, many Rohingya here you can see fleeing by boat. Many Rohingya taking their lives at risk, taken by boat and coming to this country. Why? This is because of the Burmese military. Because people every day they are facing crimes, war crimes, crimes against humanity. Rohingyas are facing genocide, particularly Rohingya were kept in IDP camps more than 12 years, 120,000 in Sittwe. Their houses were burned down and they were like in concentration camp. They can't get education, they can't get medical treatment. So when you don't have this kind of rights as a human being, so you will not leave, you will decide to leave from the country.
As you mentioned, there are a very large population of Rohingya being forced to flee out of, Myanmar itself, for their own country. And over 100,000 Rohingya population are registered in Malaysia under the UNHCR. So how do we actually, before this situation gets any worse, in the country we're already facing this influx of refugees, and then we're trying to balance, with the refugees from Myanmar, from other countries, and also the nation. How do we actually stop this situation from getting further, especially now that Malaysia will be chair of ASEAN? You mentioned earlier that the 5-point consensus has not been effective. So if we scrap that out, what more can we do? Are you seeing things like sending troops to Myanmar, or what are your suggestions? What are your thoughts?
First thing is they are not feeling pressure. ASEAN, Malaysia have to stop trading with the Burmese military. There are so many business going on because military is profiting from those business. We can see that so many sanctions are going on from Western Wall. So by having that kind of business, they are benefiting. Benefit will go into the military. And secondly, ASEAN, Malaysia have to lead, and Malaysia have a role, can play a key role to lead, unite all ASEAN members to take action against Burmese military, to stop genocide against Rohingya and war crimes and crimes against humanity, other people, minorities in Burma. And there is something timeline that something benchmark needed to do that. That is very important. And secondly, thirdly, I would say that ASEAN, Malaysia was not a member before 1997. This is the military. Decades, they are committing genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. So the same military here now is doing the same thing. So now it is time suspend and kick them out from ASEAN. Malaysia can play. Malaysia is the leading country in ASEAN who brought them in ASEAN. So that is very important. I believe that, if there is a stronger action from ASEAN, military will continue this genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. Because they don't care. There is no such pressure coming from neighboring country.
Yep, so more pressure on the...
ASEAN countries.
Yeah, more pressure from ASEAN countries on the Myanmar military. Perhaps that would be your recommendation. Now let's talk a little bit more about, there has been a case that BROUK has brought, a case of genocide on Rohingya in Argentina. It was brought up in 2019. Now, recently the Argentine prosecutor is seeking arrest warrants by the court for General Min Aung Hlaing, among others. So tell us more about the ongoing case.
We filed that case in 2019 in Argentina, led by Burmese Rohingya Organization UK, and also myself and 6 women victims and 1 man. And the case, we filed because Rohingyas are facing horrific crimes in 2017 by the Burmese military. As I mentioned earlier, there are thousands of Rohingya were killed by Burmese military. Many Rohingya children were thrown to the fire by this military when they burned in Rohingya villages. Even those crimes were committed, we have not seen any action to bring them to justice from international community. We have seen series of a few meetings from UN Security Council. There is no such resolution came out. And so we want justice. And I visited to the camp that time. Many Rohingya genocide survivors, they told me, brother, we want justice. So then our organization, we filed that case, and then we were rejected first, and then they allowed after appealing to Supreme Court, and we were able to bring some survivors from the camp, and they were able to testify a strong evidence, and that outcome is giving very leading to the progress of this case. As you mentioned, last few weeks ago, prosecutor submit arrest warrant to the Argentinian court. So now we are waiting Also, by the way, we after testimonies from the survivors, last December I myself went to Argentina and we submit arrest warrant to release from the court. And then now that is supported by prosecutor of the court. So last few weeks ago, prosecutor submitted to the court to release arrest warrant. So now we are on the very last stage. This is very positive step. I believe that the court will release arrest warrant in a few months' time. That will be a big victory for the justice of Rohingya and all the people of Burma. One thing I want to make clear here, Rohingyas are facing genocide, other minorities are facing war crimes and crimes against humanity. You can see here many Shin and other minorities in Malaysia too. Because why these people fled from the country? Because of serious human rights violation, genocide, crimes against humanity. That's why I want to tell you that this arrest warrant to get justice for Rohingyas is not only for the Rohingya, because it's for our common enemy. So I believe that military top leader Mi Aung Hlaing and other top generals will include on that arrest warrant.
What are we...
For many years, we are facing these decades of persecution, but we have not seen any arrest warrant yet. So that's why it's going to be historic.
So this is somewhat a first in or a similar case of some sort. We're definitely looking forward to hearing, what happens or the developments of this case.
Definitely.
Now we just have about 3 minutes left, so perhaps you can talk a little bit about how Malaysia is currently hosting many of the Rohingya refugees in the country. How can speaking to the public to better understand the situation? You've extensively explained the reason why they had to flee and have to make a living in a foreign country. But now talking about policies, perhaps in the country, what kind of policies do you think that we could come up with to better support the refugee community?
First thing is I would like to express many thanks to Malaysia government and the people of Malaysia hosting our community, because one thing is we have our homeland, our culture, our civilization. Unfortunately, we're facing genocide. That's why people are fleeing. As I mentioned, people are facing impossible situation. That's why they are fleeing to Malaysia. So we are facing a genocide. So this is important that Malaysia have to rebuild our community. It does not mean we will live forever here. When our homeland got peace and justice, we definitely will return to our country. If you have a home, we have a car, you have a nice living in your country, why you will flee by boat? Your life is at risk. Why you will be seeking others' help when you have that position? Unfortunately, people, their lives are at risk. That's why they flee by boat, and that's why they come in here. And so one thing is, as Burmese military is destroying our community with intention, it's a genocide, intentionally destroying. So I would like to request Malaysia government and the people of Malaysia to counteract, to rebuild our community and providing them education and health care. That is very important. If a community without education, backbone is, they cannot be, backbone of a community is education. If without education, if a community is growing, what can happen in future for their community? So we are manageable minority. We have all these things in the past in Burma. Because of decades of persecution, many Rohingya become without education, and their lives being destroyed. So it is important rebuild, counteract what Burmese military is trying to do. We have to counteract to rebuild our community. It is important that allowing them to study, allowing them education, and that can also support here Malaysia people, because if Rohingya community work, Rohingya community got education, they can help Malaysia government, Malaysia people. That
and
is
the
what I can
economy
see.
as well. Yep.
Also economy, of course.
Yep, I definitely agree with that point, especially when it comes to basic human rights, education, healthcare. I guess that is definitely the way forward to supporting the Rohingya community, as well as other refugees in the country who are probably facing, threats of genocide in their own homeland. But that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much, Tun Khin, for your time and for your explanation. That's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Saraya Mia, and we'll see you soon.